You're walking down the street when you're approached by a bum-ass looking motherfucker trying to sell you a cheap set of stolen Chinese bootleg watches, when all you're trying to do is find the freshest prostitute pussy to stick your tongue in, for the cheapest price, when suddenly you hear these goobers arguing over some kind of abstract mural. People, I've lived the row, and I've got to tell you, the row ain't for everyone. It will chew you up and spit you out. But of course, curiosity gets the better of people in this sick, sad, confusing world, and in the grand scheme of things, Saints Row 1 is still an important title to the legacy of the Saints Row series. But sadly, due to complications during development, Saints Row 1 was only released as an Xbox 360 exclusive title. Because of this, a majority of players in the fandom have never even played Saints Row 1. The entire origin story of the boss getting caught in the middle of a gang warfare while roaming the streets for a prostitute is completely unknown to many Saints Row fans today. So for years, I've seen many petitions to remaster Saints Row 1, or to port it to the PC. It's like the forbidden fruit, because people don't have the means to play it, that makes them desire it more. But hear me out, friends, I love Saints Row 1. As someone who has played the series since day one, it's near and dear to my heart. But it is never getting remastered. First of all, the game has really basic mission scripting. Drive here, shoot up that thing. It basically has all the standard open world features that your modern day smartphone game has. That shit doesn't sell these days. Given that the game was tailor-made for the 360, the game would practically have to be remade from the ground up, and the money spent making it would almost guarantee that Volition wouldn't make a profit, let alone break even. The infrastructure of Saints Row 1 is said to be a fucking nightmare to begin with, and a lot of time would have to be spent remaking a decade-old game that a vast majority of gamers wouldn't care for. I hate to say that, but it's true. This game was the shit in 2006, but in 2018, nobody is going to care about the remaster of a basic open-world 360 exclusive. It will not sell, and it will probably kill Volition in the process. I mean, I'd buy it, of course. Perhaps you would too, but if any game were to be remastered, it'd have to be Saints Row 2. Let us not forget that the PC version of this game is still busted as shit. If any game were to be remastered for the market's favor, it'd be that one, but the likelihood of that happening is also very slim. The source code for Saints Row 2 kind of got misplaced when THQ sold the series, so again Volition would basically have to remake the game from the ground up, and at that point, why not just put all the effort and resources towards the next AAA title, Saints Row 5 or a proper reboot of the franchise? I mean, Saints Row 1 is my jam. There's many things about it that I prefer over Saints Row 2. But we don't have the numbers on our side. If you really care about Saints Row 1 and you want to continue to fight for the older community's cause, then the least you can do is vote for it to be included in the backwards compatible library for Xbox One. Even if you don't own an Xbox One, it's the only way to be vocal about it, to let the publisher know that there's still a buzz for games like this. It's especially important because Saints Row 3 and 4 dominated Saints Row 1 and 2 in the polls, and guess what? They're now backwards compatible. But thankfully, just this month, Saints Row 2 became backwards compatible as well. Now all that's left is Saints Row 1. Links in the description if you want to vote. Now, if you are just desperate to play the legendary Saints Row 1 experience, then you can check out the Xbox 360 emulator, Xenia. You're going to need the latest Windows build and also a Saints Row 1 ISO, which I can't tell you where to find that, but that's okay because we're going to do things legally. Owen, one of the most legendary and iconic members of the Saints Row Discord server, hooked us all up with a copy of the Saints Row 1 digital demo, which used to be on the Xbox Live Marketplace for free. This does not have an ISO file type, it looks kind of funky, but open it in Xenia and it'll run just the same. You'll be able to boot into the main menu, watch the credits all hunky-dory like, but trying to jump into the actual game will make you want to gouge your eyeballs out. I mean, it's not all bad, you can still play with the phone, maybe a few missions, but eventually the game is going to crash. It's all going to depend on the hardware you're using, but, you know, if you can afford a PC that can play this with a smooth frame rate, odds are you can afford to buy a used 360 and play Saints Row 1 to your heart's content. Or just give it a few years and maybe we can all mod the hell out of this game. Now, I don't even know if Volition still cares about Saints Row 1 anymore. I mean, I'm sure they do in a sapphic, sentimental way of it being their first open-world game and began a milestone series for their company, but beyond that, I think instead of trying to resurrect the past, we need to learn from it and be vocal about what we thought worked for the previous titles. Because they're starting to make their next title right now. Open your mouth, baby. Spit it out. Let it dribble on the floor. You want multiplayer? You want co-op? You want layered clothes and customizable aircrafts? You want multi-arc stories? Let it be known, and I'll talk about it in my next video. See you then!